thought there.
Voddie, I believe that's a narrow interpretation and a boxy interpretation of the text, as well as the role of women, who in today's working families, many families in the United States need both the man and the wife in order to work outside of the home, in order to support the family, and to put that kind of burden on the family, whereby a woman must stay at home. I just don't think that translates into many working class families today.
You know, my job is not to translate into working class families. My job is to be honest with the text. And the text says in Titus chapter 2 and verse 5, a woman is to be the keeper of her home. Now, I will not violate the teaching of the text in order to somehow sound more appropriate for the culture. I am a herald of the truth of the gospel, and my job is to teach the gospel according to what the authors have said, not according to what I think the culture wants to hear.
I have a deep appreciation for real men like this. I hate using this word all the time, but like alpha kind of role, or just whatever you want to call it, leadership role, and really embodying their masculinity. Unapologetically masculine men is exactly what we need. Hi everybody, welcome back to our channel. So we were actually sent this video a long time ago. Voddie Baucham was on, it was a while back though, a long time ago, I think.
It was back when Barack Obama was actually running for office.
Oh, is that when it was?
Yeah, it was when he was running for office.
Okay, so Voddie Baucham is a pastor. He was on CNN a long time ago. And it was just interesting to me how he handled these ladies. So it's so funny to me. But anyways, so we're gonna watch this video here. I think it's only a few minutes long. And here we go.
And she could potentially lead a country, but she'd be banned from leading many congregations. So why does Sarah Palin seem to be winning over so many evangelicals? Let's bring in two people who may have some answers for us. Voddie Baucham is a pastor at Grace Family Baptist Church in Spring, Texas, and Margaret Feinberg is an evangelical speaker who lived in Alaska for 5 years and saw Palin get elected to governor. Good to see you both.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Margaret, let's start with you. I want you both actually to touch on this quickly. Why does her faith matter?
Her faith matters because it says a lot about who she is as a person and her outlooks on life and the policies that will come to play in our nation.
Reverend Baucham?
I agree completely. Political ideology is really an outgrowth of our religious beliefs. You can't separate what a person believes from how a person will govern. So I think it's incredibly important that we know where people stand on religious issues.
So, Margaret, why do you think she's winning over these evangelicals that have been so skeptical of McCain?
I think on one hand, she's known for her conservative values, and that's translated in her leadership and her time in Alaska. But I think also for younger evangelicals, there is a hunger to see a more exciting ticket. There was kind of a ho-hum factor for McCain, but when Palin came on board, she added the vavoom that was so needed in order to garner the attention and the excitement for young evangelicals.
And here's what's interesting, Reverend Baucham, she's winning over church members, church leaders that don't even allow women to preach at the pulpit, yet she could be leading the country. What do you make of that?
Well, it's interesting. The bottom line on that is people look at this ticket and their fear is that we will have Barack Obama as our president, that we will be moved toward a socialist agenda, that we would have the most radically pro-abortion candidate ever to run for president to serve in that office. And that is an untenable position for evangelicals. And so they look at this and they're trying to decide this based on what's best for the nation in the here and now, and oftentimes overlooking some of those other issues.
Do you think that that's something that, are you saying that shouldn't be overlooked? I mean, do you think that women in evangelical circles where women are not allowed to preach, let's say that Palin and McCain do win, and here you have this woman that could possibly be leading the free world, and yet there's evangelicals voting for her that don't even believe that a woman should preach at the pulpit? Could this change the face of how evangelicals believe in the woman's role?
I don't think it'll change the way evangelicals believe about women's roles. I think it has sparked a discussion. And quite frankly, feminism has gained a foothold in many evangelical churches.
Do you think that's a good thing?
No, I don't. Not at all.
Why not?
Well, because we're about the gospel. The culture doesn't dictate truth. The gospel dictates truth. My job is not to be a political pundit or political activist. My job is to be a pastor and proclaim the truth of the gospel as clearly as I possibly can.
Well, wait a minute. What about the Old Testament and the prophet Deborah? I mean, she was a political leader. She was a wife. She was a mother. She was one of the biggest forces in the book of Judges. So that's the gospel right there.
She certainly was. And the fact that something happened doesn't mean that it's normative for the church. In Isaiah chapter 3, for example, one of the signs that a culture is under judgment is that women are in leadership in their nations. So Deborah was actually a sign that things were very bad in Israel, not a norm for the church.
Margaret, I'm curious to see what you think about this and what the Reverend's saying.
I think that that's a fair perspective, Voddie, but I think we also need to look at Ephesians 5, which describes, it's saying that husbands are to lay down their lives for their wives, just as Jesus Christ laid down his life for the church. And in the same way, I think Todd has done an incredible job opening up the opportunity for Palin to use the gifts and the talents and the passions that she has been given in order to make a difference in her community and possibly in our nation and world on a significant political landscape. And
the push for feminism is just unmatched.
Yeah. By the way, you're right. I mean, Palin was only the vice president because Barack Obama was black.
Right.
And they were afraid that the ticket would be too white. And people, like they said at the beginning, she said that it was an exciting ticket because the Democratic Party's ticket was exciting.
Right.
We were about to get our first black president. And so John McCain could not go there with another white man.
Right.
He picked a white woman because then that would make it look like he was also breaking a glass ceiling.
Yeah. And so it's just amazing to me that women pastors.
No.
The
Bible says that women are to be silent.
I think I actually believe that is the one thing that the Catholic religion, if you guys, I don't know if anybody's Catholic, but the Catholic religion has stuck to that. And I do believe that's how it should be. I don't think, if you guys are new to us, we do not believe that women should be leading in these types of roles.
Should be president.
Should not be president. We just don't think that's best suited for women. Now, we understand it's 2024. Obviously, it's not much you can do about it at this point, right? But except for talk against it. I just don't think that women do well in leadership roles on this type of stage, right? I think we do well with leadership roles when it comes to, children, these types of things, being over there. But I don't think that, I feel like we do things too much into our feelings. And because we are naturally our feelings-based people, I think that interrupts logic sometimes. Someone who looks at the big picture, men. Yeah. Women look at the small details. That's what we do well.
Women are very good at small details, like you said. Yeah. And the problem is that women are now running things and look at our country. And so the thing is that Sarah Palin had a breakdown.
Yes, she did.
After this, I don't want to talk about that.
She did a big one.
And also, if you look at the women who have come close to being president, both Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris, and both of them are disasters.
Yes.
On all levels, like they're just disasters of women.
I think that that's a fair perspective, Voddie, but I think we also need to look at Ephesians 5, which describes, it's saying that husbands are to lay down their lives for their wives, just as Jesus Christ laid down his life for the church. And in the same way, I think Todd has done an incredible job opening up the opportunity for Palin to use the gifts and the talents and the passions that she has been given in order to make a difference in her community and possibly in our nation and world on a significant political landscape and effect.
Margaret, is the Reverend sounding a little sexist, or is it just me?
I would have to say the Reverend is sounding a little questionable there, but in the sense that I believe that everyone, despite gender, has an opportunity to serve, to give, and to play a role in making a difference in their communities, in their churches, and around the world.
Reverend, this could be an exciting time. I mean, this could break through. We're becoming progressive in so many ways. We're seeing a black man possibly winning the presidency. We're seeing a woman here that's on the Republican ticket that's rousing up evangelicals possibly to think twice about the woman's role in the church. I mean, this is fascinating times.
They are fascinating times, and they're also frightening times. When you see Margaret Feinberg use Ephesians chapter 5, which clearly says that a husband is the head of the wife, in order to justify somehow with this sleight of hand that Palin's husband is laying down his life by allowing her to do that. Number one, she's playing fast and loose with the text. And secondly, she is also ignoring the fact that Palin's responsibility as a wife and mother is governed by Scripture, not by whether we feel it's progressive in our culture.
Margaret, final thought there.
Voddie, I believe that's a narrow interpretation and a boxy interpretation of the text, as well as the role of women, who in today's working families, many families in the United States need both the man and the wife in order to work outside of the home, in order to support the family, and to put that kind of burden on the family, whereby a woman must stay at home. I just don't think that translates into many working class families today.
You know, my job is not to translate into working class families. My job is to be honest with the text. And the text says in Titus chapter 2 and verse 5, a woman is to be the keeper of her home. Now, I will not violate the teaching of the text in order to somehow sound more appropriate for the culture. I am a herald of the truth of the gospel, and my job is to teach the gospel according to what the authors have said, not according to what I think the culture wants to hear.
I think, Voddie, being a keeper of the home can be translated in so many different ways. And that means that if a woman happens to be the breadwinner, shouldn't they have the opportunity to step out and take care of their family in that way?
Listen.
All right, what about the text that says the man and the woman should submit to one another? I think I'm just going to leave it right there, folks. And I'm going to be studying the Bible tonight, and I promise to bring you two back, especially as we see this go forward and seeing how evangelicals vote. Thank you so much, Margaret Feinberg and Reverend Voddie Baucham.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
So
he never came back. They never got invited back.
He did on his pulpit. He said they never invited me back.
They never invited me back.
So yeah, these women. Remember Thomas Sowell?
Yeah.
Remember Thomas Sowell said that these people, women like this, these Marxists, these kind of people who love this sort of we can all be the same. Yeah. These people ruin the world. And then she comes back like she said, when many people need two incomes to lead the home or to pay for home. Why put that burden on a family? And I'm like, you guys set out. People think like you, ruin the country.
Yeah.
And then say that the remedy is to then everybody needs to work. What about the kids?
What about that?
The reason why a lot of these kids are messed up today is because no one is at home anymore. They are being watched by their phones. We
just jumped right into, everyone's got to work. Everyone's got to work in the home. When we know, because we know that it's statistically, kids do better when a parent is at the home. Parent meaning the mother. Why the mother? Because she is the nurturer. I'm not just saying women should be tied to the kitchen and the barefoot and pregnant and all this stuff. But I'm saying that if we have the evidence that kids turned out better in that circumstance, why are we now promoting the opposite? Do you see the problem? When you put women in the pulpit, when they do this,
they bring in social justice stuff.
Yes, and it's like she's doing the very thing that we keep talking about. Like she is bringing in all of this social justice, She has a feminist air to her. He is sticking to the text.
Sorry,
and I'm sorry, I don't understand how they have the same Bible. But one is actually sticking to what it says, and the other one is just making up. She's amending it. She's putting some amendments on it. Okay, yeah, you can do this, but really, this is better.
And by the way, it's not just women who need to work. There are women who just work.
Yes,
here they are. I'm talking about conservative women. They're conservative women. When we said that thing about Candace Owens, here's a woman that's married to a 100 millionaire. She's also got millions of dollars, and she's chosen to leave her 3 kids under 5 years old with other people.
Right.
And I'm not saying that because I don't like Candace. I actually really do like her. And Megyn Kelly's another one. This is what I'm saying. Even conservative people have moved to the left.
This problem right here, though, is not just this is some problems. I think a lot of problems are with the left in general. This problem here is with both. Right. Conservative and liberal. Because conservative people are starting to sound more liberal.
Right.
And, like when we use the Candace Owens reference, a lot of people that subscribe to us that are conservative women were against everything we were saying, because what we were saying is that we just don't think that women that have children in those formative years like that should be working. I think women should cling to the home.
I don't. I was raised by a single mother. Women should be home.
What
I mean? And the thing is that it doesn't mean, like Phyllis Schlafly said, you don't have to do it. By the time your kids get a certain age, you can go back to... She was a lawyer.
Yeah, Phyllis Schlafly was a lawyer. Yeah,
she became a lawyer after that. You know what I mean? But my point in saying this is that you can't lecture AOC. Because AOC and Candace Owens are going to have the same life.
Right.
They may talk differently, but their life is exactly the same. It's parallel.
Yeah.
They're exactly the same. You know what I mean? And so my point in saying this is that eventually the left, women from the left, are going to say, you hypocrites, Megyn Kelly.
And they're right.
And they're right.
They'll be right.
Because there is no better job than raising children. You are raising the next generation of people.
So that's
a bigger job than, in a lot of ways, than being a lawyer at a law firm.
Yeah.
there are other things besides making money that matter in a household.
Yeah. Voddie being okay. So when the lady said, I think she said, so don't you think that the pastor is being a little sexist there? So I'm talking about Voddie. And I'm like, no, ma'am, he's not being sexist.
Well, you're calling God sexist. Then.
Yeah, then
what do you mean?
He's not being sexist. He's repeating the text.
He's a pastor.
Following the text. He's in this situation. Out of the three of these people, he is the correct one. They are the wrong ones. It's like, no. When did that become sexist to repeat the text? What are we doing?
I love Voddie because Voddie did not fall for the banana and the tail.
No, he didn't.
We might be getting the first black president, and we did.
Stop
the first
it.
black president. He was like, I don't want Barack Obama to win because he's black.
Yeah,
He didn't want him to win.
Yeah,
he didn't vote for him, and he was just saying, I don't want him. And I'm so glad that he did that because what she was trying to do was say, hey, women are moving up, but hey, black people are too.
You should be happy.
She tried to use his race to justify her feminism.
It didn't work.
And he was saying, I don't want him to win either. And we shouldn't want. You shouldn't want someone to win because they're a woman, black, or gay.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Just because what? If you aren't black, if you're black and you're not going to make any real progress, because let's keep it real, all of this racism stuff that's happened after Barack Obama. Before Barack Obama, we really have that kind of problem at all. Not really. I don't remember. I was a kid in the 90s. I was a teenager in the 90s, and I don't remember any of this.
Right.
I mean, we had the O.J. Simpson verdict, and that was a big deal. Then it died down, and then there was the Rodney King thing, and that was a big deal for a minute. But then it died down. We moved on. Is what I'm saying. This thing that we're dealing with now, this BLM all over the world, and everybody, this thing happened after Barack Obama, and he went in trying to say that he was going to be the peacemaker, and he went and just caused problems.
I was going to say that because it seems like women, a lot of times what happens to women like this, these feminist women, is that they call everything is sexist. Like, it doesn't matter.
Everything.
It doesn't matter what it is. Like, a man can do a normal man thing, and then somehow sexist, misogynist, these words are attached to that. And I'm like, no, what do you mean? Why is it, I don't understand why it's wrong to say, like, why people get cringe at that, to say that women are not good in leadership roles. Like, when we say that, right, people who like us, they don't like when we say that. I'm not women. They don't like that. Because
women lead children.
I'm like, I just
not
believe
men.
that. I think this is what happened though because we talk a lot about roles with men and women and feminine energy, masculine energy, and all this stuff, right? I think that if we got back to just like the basics of just that, I do think that the country, the vibe would now like turn. But it's because we have people who are shutting Voddie Baucham's down when he's repeating something that they too believe, because they know the Bible, but they're making a conscious decision to ignore the parts that they don't like. Right. And I said this before because I'm a newer Christian person, right? I said this before, even before I was Christian, that I don't want to be a cherry picking one. I still am trying to figure out a lot of things with the Bible, and understand it and everything, but I don't like the idea of, this is a good thing. This is a good thing. Oh, but wait. It doesn't include women, so now it's not a good thing. No, that's not what it says.
Women and men are not meant to do the same thing. They're just not. God didn't make us the same for a reason.
And that's good.
And that is a good thing. That's a beautiful thing, really.
Right.
And just because you're conservative and I'm conservative does not mean that I agree with all conservatives. I don't.
Yeah.
Because I think that a lot of conservative women make mistakes.
Well, actually, more and more, I'm starting to really look at conservatives in general. Like, the more we keep moving over to the left, the worse it's going to get.
Right.
And I feel like there has to be a clear distinction there, right? That we're trying to conserve values, right? Conserve traditional values. And so if we're not trying to conserve traditional values, then that means that we're veering off to the other side, which is definitely against traditional values. Like, when I read the Bible more, I realize how well mapped out it is.
Yeah.
Because it does, even in Genesis, like even in the beginning, it shows you the role. It does. It shows you the role. And then it shows you how to have comfort in that role.
Yeah.
If you just maintain it. If you can just be a woman. in every sense of the word of what a woman
And also
is.
know that it's okay to be a woman.
It is okay.
Because to me, feminists are against women.
Yeah.
Because what you're saying is that it's not enough for us to be a woman.
Yeah.
In the raw sense.
Right.
We have to be like men, or we can't. We won't get respect.
Well,
and I find that men respect us more when we are like
feminine,
women than when we act like them.
And so, so we've talked about this when we talked about this before about, women and how we feel like they shouldn't lead and stuff like that. A lot of the criticism that we get when we say that is women will say, oh, so I guess you two are just going to be some little slaves to some guy one day, or you just don't feel like women have a voice. What are you talking about? We have a whole YouTube channel. We have voices. I mean, we're not saying women shouldn't talk. What do you mean? Like,
I'm going to say, someone that speaks like me and Danielle, do
Yeah.
you really think that Danielle and I don't have a voice? I have a point of view.
Yeah.
Just because it's not your point of view does not mean that I'm some kind of slave. And let's define slave. Slave is not taking care of your husband and your children.
What do you mean? That's a
privilege that I wish I had, actually.
Yeah, that's actually pretty great.
You know what I mean? So when you have it and you take it for granted, then you deserve everything that comes after that.
Right.
To make you realize how grateful you should actually be. To be able to get up and make your husband breakfast.
Right.
To be able to get up to get your kids ready for school. You should be happy that you have that.
We have a lot of married women that watch us too, and they're just like, they're married, they're traditional women, so they stay at home, and they're like, this is the best decision of my entire life. They'll just tell you, of course it is, because you're able to satisfy your family, and then also your need as a woman, because your need as a woman is really to nurture. That's just natural feeling. And when I'm single and unmarried, right, and I don't have any kids, so I need something to nurture. You know what I mean? So I do that, and I find a way to do that in my life now as a single person. But there is something to be said for married women who have children, and are proud of that and do that, because the very core of them is being satisfied.
You are not lame because you want to get up and clean your house, get your kids off to school, take care of them, feed them, take care of your husband, get him off to work. Yeah. There's no shame in that. That is the best thing a woman could really be.
And I know
the greatest part of a woman is the fact that she's using the raw sense of being a woman, and we are taking that and throwing it out the window so we can go to work.
Really? We just had a young lady ask us something in a comment. She was like, I really do want to be more of a feminine woman. When I get married, I want to be a stay-at-home wife. I want to do all these things, right? And she's just like, but the truth is that in her generation, I think she's in her early 30s, she said it's frowned upon with her friend group, or her reality, because the reality is different right now. So she says that her friend group, that's looked at as weak. So what she keeps those thoughts private, because she doesn't want to be the, oh my God, it's so weak. You want to be just taking care of a husband and kids, as if that is just some kind of like horrible task. It's just disgusting, to a lot of women these days, because it's looked at as weak. So a lot of women don't want to be looked at as weak. So this is why they keep going to work and trying to climb that corporate ladder to get to nowhere, but a empty top hill of nothing, of money. It's just money and what? That's it. That's what you get.
I mean, and you look at people like Hillary Clinton, and she doesn't look happy.
No, she doesn't. She looks
Barry
stressed.
Goldwater, there is a documentary. It's pretty long. It's like 2.5 hours long. But it's on Barry Goldwater's life. And he talked about Hillary Clinton because she had just become first lady.
Yeah.
I think he died a couple years later. But she had just become first lady. And she was a different type of first lady because she wasn't... She was in his cabinet. I mean, she was actually working in the administration. And he said, they asked him, how do you feel about her? And he said, back in my day, a woman really did have a place, and she advised men, and we did well. We made good decisions based on a lot of what our wives said.
Like pillow talk.
Pillow talk, right.
Yeah.
He said, and he actually used that word. Yeah. And he said, and a lot of men get their advice when they talk to their wives. This is why you pick a good woman. You have to. It's important to pick the right woman when you marry a woman. And he was just like, this woman is going to be a problem.
Yeah, and she
is. He was absolutely right.
Yeah.
Because I don't even think he lived long enough to see how far this woman, this nightmare has gone. You know what I mean? And my thing is that I do think that God got it right.
Yeah. And I think
we were wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The women and men. Men too. Because, by the way, like I said, Joe Biden picked a woman to be two women to be his press secretaries. He picked a woman to be a vice president, his Supreme Court nominee pick. was a woman, and he said he was going to pick them because they were women. So men are just as guilty as creating this disaster as women have been. Because we've allowed this to just completely get out of hand.
Right.
And now we've got a bunch of unhappy women.
Yeah.
And women are more unhappy than they have ever been.
Well,
in their lives.
these two women here in this video trying to make a case for feminism has made me sick.
It's just
because
sickening.
because they're laughing and giggling at it, and they're being condescending towards Voddie, when all Voddie's doing is reciting, repeating, and believing in the text.
And he's right.
Like, and so you know what I'm saying. It doesn't make, to me, I feel like when I see women behave like that, especially one that's a pastor, knowing they know the word, but then directly going against it, and then making it a political thing. And look, you can knock out political right now. We're talking about God in the text. The text says don't do that. So why are we?
And this is why women, though, are not supposed to be the head of any church.
Yeah, because we get into our feelings like
Sarah
this.
Jakes, now Joel Osteen's letting his wife do it. Not a thing. What's her name? Joyce Meyer. It's all a mistake. And I'm just saying that we've now brought social justice into the church to corrupt God.
Yeah.
And to corrupt people's thinking while they're at church.
See, look, say what you want, do what you want, be a feminist, whatever. Okay, but don't be that and say you're a Christian.
Right.
Don't play yourself. Okay, because when I see that, I'm like, no. This is like these Christians out here who are okay with abortion, huh? How are you okay with abortion when you are a Christian person? You are a liar and a contradictor. That's not a thing. It's not a thing. And I don't. You believe in more than two genders. How are you a Christian?
And you know, what's her name? Shamika Michelle, that's on Jason Whitlock's show. She said, I remember back in the day when it was the pastor's wife. Then all of a sudden it was first lady.
Yeah,
and then it turned into we're co-pastors now. And then the church couldn't be worse.
Yeah.
Every
It's
time
chaos.
they do this, they make things worse. And the thing was, I think even Voddie said that he said, yeah, maybe women didn't stand at the pulpit, but they definitely ran the church. They did other things because women, even in the past,
Help me,
they did
yeah.
all of the secretary work and
Makes
they did
sense.
all of the functions and stuff. So they were definitely a huge part of the church, but they just didn't stand at the pulpit because the Bible says that women are to be silent. Men are not supposed to be led by women.
No.
That's just not a thing. And we see the problem of what's happening when women that are single mothers are raising these little boys,
Yeah.
and they're becoming men with no structure because there's no man in the house. Women need men when it comes to raising kids, but a household needs a man. They
Yeah.
should, because housewives, they do so much, and they don't get paid for it.
They don't.
You know, it's a job you don't get paid. What
No.
Matt Walsh say? He said, I'm sorry, it's not a job, but it is work.
Yeah. Right.
And it is necessary. It is a very necessary thing. And we are giving women that have careers all this, awards and accolades. And we're making housewives seem like they're just insignificant. They're not. They're actually the most important role for a woman to be.
So now what people will say is, especially women will say, well, not every woman is a lot the same. Not every woman's meant to do the same
If you're
thing
one to have
in
children,
life.
to me you are.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry.
If you're a woman who's decided to have children, I'm sorry that you have made a decision to have a child. I do believe that you should cling to the home.
Sorry.
I just do believe that. And you are correct. Not every woman's the same. There's some women who, like to work, some women like to play sports. We get it. We get it, right? But it all changes for me when you bring in the kids. See,
Look at the results.
yeah.
In 2024
yeah.
of what's happened when we have allowed all of this, politically correct stuff to take hold.
Yeah.
It has completely ruined us as a society. We've got people running through our borders, and the only reason that happened is because men are supposed to protect us. And they're allowing these people to run through the border. Men who run our country are allowing this to happen. Why do you think this happens? Because we've had decades and decades of feminism
yes.
and people feeling bad because people are black and all of this. We've had all of this feeling of, guilt. And because of this guilt that has been really ingrained in us at this point, we've allowed just anything goes in this country. And it is really destroying one of the greatest countries in the world. The greatest, really.
I highly appreciate Voddie Baucham. Because for saying that, he still talks like this. He's not like this is just like one time.
We're seeing him so young because I'm used to seeing him with the full beard,
I know, right?
gray beard.
But I appreciate men who I have a deep appreciation for real men like this. A real deep appreciation, because I feel like there's not a lot of men right now who are sticking to this kind of
Stick to your guns.
I hate using this word all the time, but like alpha kind of role, or just whatever you want to call it, leadership role, and really really embodying their masculinity. Unapologetically masculine men is exactly what we need, and so when I see people like Voddie Baucham, who is not apologizing for that part of his masculinity and his deep belief in God and the Bible, and repeating it correctly as a Christian man, I really appreciate men who can do that, because we have a lot right now is men who speak like this, and like I said earlier, are getting called misogynist, and I just think that is just, I don't know, I think that's just when women do that, I think it's just demonic.
Yeah, I was watching
because you're purposefully trying to make him not be a man.
I was just watching. I didn't watch the video yet, but Jimmy Dore has a video he just put out that said Gen Zer men, I guess, are opting out of college and going straight to the workforce to get high paying jobs. And I thought to myself, well, that is what we need. Stay away from these colleges, because they are indoctrinating you to think like an idiot. We need more men doing physical work anyway, so they can get in contact with their masculinity again and be around other men, because mostly men are going to be construction workers. I don't care if you got a sprinkle of women. You're going to all the cowboys are mostly still men.
Yeah.
All the construction workers, dirty jobs, the police force, the firemen, the auto mechanics, the backbone of this country is still mostly men.
Yeah.
And we need to those men really need to really stand up. I mean, I was so happy. I know this is kind of unrelated, but when Budweiser got canceled, I was happy to see that it was men that did that. And they're still doing it.
Good.
And I was so happy when that happened, because it reminded us the American man is still alive and well.
Yeah.
And they drink beer. And they're like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Not in America. You can pull that stuff off maybe in Europe or somewhere else, but you're not going to pull it off here.
People need to be talking. People need to be talking like Mark Dice.
Mark Dice, Matt Walsh. These people that just speak. Elon Musk. I mean, and these are rich white men, the ones we're all supposed to be scared of.
Yeah.
And they're saying, these rich white men are taking they're just damaging their heart. And yet I'm watching Donald Trump get raked across the coals.
Yeah.
I'm watching Elon Musk, Alex Jones. Who else? Did I say Donald Trump? Who else? All of these rich, Tucker Carlson, all these rich white men, who most of them have been rich their whole life, are the ones who are actually standing up for freedom of speech and the Constitution and the rights.
But then you get the young ones like the Coleman Hughes of the world, who are also speaking up.
Listening to them.
Yeah, who are also speaking up as a man. He's saying he has, look, this is what black men are doing today. This is what it is. Okay, they're becoming more conservative. Okay, and then you have the left trying to make him feel like he's not falling for it, of course, but they're trying to browbeat him into believing that what he's saying is wrong, sexist, is stupid. Even Coleman Hughes is a young guy. He's in the 20s, right?
But that's good, because he's 30.
I love that he's just sticking to what he's saying. You know what I mean? Sticking to what he's saying. But
here we got Thomas Sowell, who's been around here. He's almost not. Walter Williams is dead. He done came and gone.
Yeah.
Most people don't even know this man, and they completely hide those black men. They completely hide them, and then they shame all the white ones. And this is the reason why I talk about Jason Whitlock. This is the reason why I talk about Thomas Sowell. Alan West, Jesse Lee Peterson,
Robert
Woodson. This is the reason why I talk about Donald Trump, Elon Musk, because those are all men. Men that I wish we had that video of that guy from the Canadian guy.
Put it up?
Yeah. And although he is Canadian, these are the kind of people, because he's trying to save his country too. These are the kind of men that are going to save the world.
On the topic, I mean, in terms of your sort of strategy currently, you're obviously taking the populist pathway.
What does that mean?
Well, appealing to people's more emotional levels, I would guess. I mean,
What do you mean by that?
certainly you tap very strong ideological language quite frequently.
Like what?
left wing, this and that, right wing. I mean, it's that type of ideological spectrum.
I never really talk about left
But
or right.
anyways, a lot
I
of
don't
people
really believe in that.
Okay, a lot of people would say that you're simply taking a page out of the Donald Trump book.
Like which people would say that?
Well, I'm sure a great many Canadians, but
Like who?
I don't know who. But
Well, you're the one who asked the question, so
yeah.
you must know somebody.
Okay, I'm sure there's some out there, but anyways, the point of this question is, I mean, why should Canadians trust you with their vote, given, not just the sort of ideological inclination in terms of taking the page out of Donald Trump's book, but
What are you
also
talking about? What page? What page? Can you give me a page? Give me the page. You keep saying
in terms of turning things quite dramatically in terms of Trudeau and the left wing and all of this. I mean, you make quite a it's quite a play that you make on it. So I'm
not
just
sure.
wondering.
I don't know what your question
Okay,
is.
then forget that. Why should Canadians trust you with their vote?
Common sense.
Okay.
Common sense for a change. We're going to make common sense common in this country. We don't have any common sense in the current government.
But talk about holding someone's feet to the fire. Like, why can't all men be like that?
I mean, that was brilliant.
That was so
it honestly
great.
is because when you deal with these people, first of all, this man was just lying.
He was just lying.
He was just saying stuff. He was trying to make him uncomfortable, bring up Donald Trump.
He was told to ask these questions he asked.
Make him
didn't
feel
work.
uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
He also isn't used to pushback.
Right. And most of these reporters aren't.
Yeah, they
you know what I
aren't.
mean? This is why they hate Donald Trump.
Yeah.
It's because Donald Trump pushes them and makes them feel like fools.
Right.
And he really knows how to deal with the press. But a lot of people get intimidated. And he's just saying, what is this? What is this? Just keep asking them. This is what Jesse Lee Peterson does to his guests. He just asks them, what do you mean by that?
You're taking a page out of the Donald Trump book. What do you mean by that?
What does that mean?
What does that mean? And also, the Apple is a paid actor. Because that's
Right.
everything.
The Apple was everything.
Like, I'm like, man, but this is how it should be. But you see what we're saying about the unapologetically, like that guy seems so
This
masculine.
is a man in his logic. And see, logical men don't use their feelings to govern them. They use logic.
And
And that is
great.
what makes the world go round.
Yeah.
Is when because women were feelings oriented. Because when we use our feelings, that's a now thing. And if you make policies based on feelings now, you can make something that could ruin the world.
Yeah, we're seeing it.
Because you don't see the big picture. You're only thinking
Right.
of the now. You know what I mean? Most men have the gift of being able to see past their feelings to make policies that are going to help generations.
Right. Exactly.
Even if it kind of hurts us right now a little bit or makes us feel a little uncomfortable.
Right.
And that is the beauty of what men can do.
Let us know what you guys think about all this. We would love to hear your thoughts as usual. You guys always have very interesting things to say. So leave some comments below. And that's it, you guys. We will see you guys in the next video. Bye.